Hi friends, and welcome to the Prosperity and Health Alliance Monday night webinar. Great to have you on board. I'll be your host this evening, Creel Hutchinson, coming to you live from beautiful, wet Vancouver, British Columbia. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We do these every Monday night, except for the first Monday of the month. And if you're a regular attendee, we appreciate you showing up, supporting the crew. And as always, there'll be a Q&A at the end of this. So if there's some of the information that you would like to talk about and discuss a little bit more, please save your questions, enter them to the chat window, and we can move forward. So really appreciate you having here. Today is going to be a little bit of a review of an older webinar I did, and then adding some new stuff. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to go over the getting started strategy. We're going to explore the finance options. We're going to review those. E-program secrets and genealogy reading. These have been little mini requests from the field and different people. And I just want to remind people, a lot of the information, once you've been in the program for 6 months or a year, 2 years, 3 years, you know, a lot of the stuff that we take for granted is actually very valuable to a brand new person. So some of this material here is really going to be designed and very helpful for a person in the 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A ranks, moving their business forward. So with that, let's do it. The PH Getting Started strategy. The reality is that you being a member of the Prosperity and Health Alliance, you can take the information that we present here and duplicate it. Or as a leader, you can decide, hey, you know what, I like aspects of it, but I want to move my business in a different way because that's the way I feel comfortable. So what I'm going to do is present what I feel comfortable with, and things that were presented a couple years ago for me have changed for a number of reasons. And I think it's a really important thing to always be checking in with yourself, how you're running, how you're operating, what your message is in your business, so that it doesn't get a little bit flat, because things change, and sometimes you need to change with that to really stay connected. So here's my perspective on that. In the past, we have purchased all of our main products: a water system, a shower system, the Anaspa, and our turmeric supplement, which is our Ukon. The benefits were you get to have all 3 products and you get multiple business centers. For me, this strategy has changed a little bit in the last 12 months. And the reasons being, we had a price increase with the Ukon, and we had a price increase with the Anaspa. So this, for me, getting started with, some people call it the trifecta, or we called it the entrepreneurial health package. When you got started with that, there was a price point that really made sense at the time and so forth. As things change, you know, obviously, Enagic hasn't raised the price in a number of years, and there's growing inflation. So Ukon and the Anaspa went up in price. For me, it's no longer in a price point that I feel comfortable getting a person started in my business. So what I'm going to show you tonight is my recommendation for when I'm in conversation with people of how to get started. Creel's recommendation. Number 1, you buy a water system. Our business is based around Kangen water, right? And some people will build Ukon businesses. That's just not what I do. There's other, you know, YouTube channels and other stuff that you can find that someone will show you how to build an Ukon specific business. For me, my passion is the water system, is Kangen water. That's what brought me into this, and that's what I get really excited about sharing. So for me, it's just like, you got to get a water system, right? And number 2, if you decide to do it, then buy into the Ukon. And number 3, very optional, was get a loaner system, right? I found the value in that. When I got started, I ended up buying 2 machines. One was for sit at my house, the other one I took around to different places. I'm going to walk through this setup. So as you know, you buy a system, you're in the top position. It's either the K8 or the SD501. Personal preference, our bestseller is the SD501. If I was getting into the business today, I would purchase a K8 because it's awesome. And I would recommend that to other people. There's a great video online that explains the difference between the K8 and the SD501. I usually present that to people so that they can make their own informed decision. So you buy a system, and what I would recommend is you buy an Ukon, which opens up your second position. Now I need to set the record straight. A few weeks ago, last time I did this, there had been the changes by Enagic, and there was the introduction of the 2A Speedy incentive, which worked out great. September was our best month ever in the company, over 20,000 units. So if you can do it once, you can do it every month, is the philosophy. So what happened was there was a lot of things changing at the same time, and the way I interpreted the information and the way it was presented, I found out was incorrect with a little bit more due diligence. So at that previous webinar, I suggested the way to go was to buy the Ukon Sigma, which is a 12-month supply as your second position. I need to correct that. That is not the way I would recommend a new person bringing it in. I would get them to buy the Ukon DD. Reason being, it's a 4-month supply, and when you renew it, it counts for 1 full sale. So you do need to have it for 12 months for that position to be counted long-term as a secure position. So that means, 1 purchase, 2 renewals, which is a total of 3 sales volume into your business. Rather than if you bought the Ukon Sigma, it's positioned there for the year, it only counts for 1 sale. You end up saving about $300, but I would not recommend that for the person getting into the business who wants to build a business. If someone wants to buy it as a customer, I think the Ukon Sigma is probably a great idea. If you're already a 6A, I believe switching from the Ukon DD over to the Ukon Sigma in the account that's already 6A is the right move. If you're not a 6A and you're building sales volume, you want to stay with the Ukon DD. So that's setting the record start. So here's option 1, getting started. You buy an SD501 or K8 and you buy the Ukon, right? Then you have essentially the same option. You either go wide or you go deep. So a lot of people will promote your second 1A position will go to a customer rather than the ANISPA or filling it up with a trifecta. And then your next sale would be to a 2A customer, and you're building wide in the business structure, right? If you decided you just wanted to start with a Kangen water system, SD501 or K8, then obviously this is going to be the strategy for you. You're going to fill your 1A and 1A position with customer sales, your 2A with customer sales, and you're going to go wide. Generally, people who do that, it's a great way to get started. It's, that's how most of us got started in the beginning, right? So you're going wide. The other option, which I recommend to buy with people, is option 2, the Kangen combo. You buy your SD501, your K8 in your top position, you buy your Ukon DD, now you've got a second ID, put the sales underneath there, which is the 1A position. So you're going to make your first sale is a 1A, your second sale a 1A, your third sale is going to be a 2A in the Ukon position, and you'll double your commissions right away. It's pretty cool because on your third sale to a new person, you'll actually be earning 3 points of commission rather than 2 if you were to go wide. Now, you want to build a business, usually it takes between 20 and 50 sales under this Ukon position in order to identify 2 business builders that will be on their own and be developing their businesses so that you can then transition into owning another account. For clarification, the other 1A position, rather than filling it with what was the trifecta before, I would just fill it with a customer. Customer being someone who wants to just be a customer. They're buying a junior system or an SD501. You put them in there so that fills the position so that when you're in the future, when you're ready to open a second position, you're able to buy into that top placement. What I mean by that, I'll explain it in another slide coming up. Here's the startup costs, and this is for British Columbia. So K8 retails $5,000. You got the taxes 12%, so it's $5,600. And you're in. You can finance that through Medicard.com. Costs you about $125 a month, right? Great way to start a business and get a water machine. If you wanted to do the K8 and the Ukon DD setup, so you have 2 business positions, it will cost you about $6,500, and you'll be looking at about $150 a month to finance, which is a great deal, right? You can do this through the Medicard, or you can do it through the Enagic e-program system, which we will further talk about at the end of this presentation. You got to know the numbers so they can really show people confidently how they're going to get their return on investment. In option 1, if you decide just to buy a water machine and you're interested in getting your machine paid off, that means you're going to, if you buy K8, you have to make 9 referrals of the same system that you purchased, which would be a K8, in order to get the machine paid, right? 9 sales essentially equals the same value of the amount that you paid in. So then your system's paid off. This is about 16 points we're looking for. Option 2, when you buy a Kangen water machine and the Ukon, you only need 7 referrals, meaning 7 people to buy K8s. So we're not even talking about UConns, we're just talking about machine sales. And you need a total of 19 points in order to pay off the K8 and the UConn together. So if you look at this, it's actually getting those two positions and starting with option 2 allows you to make less sales to get paid off. If you make 9 referrals, you're going to be much more into the profit. So when I look at that, it's more appealing. Plus, you double your IDs to start with. You are now eligible for UConn sales volume and commissions from anyone that purchased that new downline, which will lead to faster rank promotions because you're getting more volume through your whole organization, right? So this is using the UConn DD program to its fullest. Here's some notes. You must be renewed for a total of 12 months for the position to be secured, meaning your first purchase and then 2 renewals. Each one of those purchases are for 4 months, so 1 purchase and 2 renewals gives you a total of 12 months. At that point, if you canceled the UConn, you decided, hey, I don't want to be on the program anymore, your business center, which was the UConn, would be counted, would be considered like you bought a machine there, and that ID would be long-term positioned, right? So you wouldn't have to worry about it disappearing. If you decided to purchase the UConn once and renew it once and had business builders, you put some people underneath that, but decided not to renew it for the 3rd term, you would lose that ID and lose access to that downline. So we really want to be confident and secure when you're setting people up in the business mindset that they need to order the UConn for a total of 12 months. So that's 1 purchase, 2 renewals. Very clear, and it sets them up to earn the most amount of income out of the gates. And really when someone's in a position thinking, hey, I want to do this business, we really need to set people up for a long-term, realistic expectations that, hey, this business isn't about working it for 12 days. It's about give it up 1 full year, really commit to this, learn the skills, follow the team, follow the coaching, the mentorship, the 3 ways, do all of this over a year period to get the greatest success, right? So you're making that commitment right from the get-go, and you realize every 4 months you're going to renew your UConn, and it's going to cost you. If you do it by an Enagic here in Vancouver with the financing, it costs me $850, right? Over 4 different payments. Plus, to receive confirmed sales volume on the initial purchase and first renewal of UConn, the customer or distributor needs to order for 12 months. What I mean by that, if you have someone in your downline that buys the UConn from you, renews once, but then cancels and doesn't renew the 3rd time, those first 2 sales will no longer count in your sales volume. You will have received commission, so obviously you got paid on that, but those sales volumes will be taken out of your account. This is important to understand, especially when you're moving towards the 6A. That's when these things will start to be determined because they do all the math at the end. It's less impactful when you're in the lower ranks because the position's there and you move up so much faster, you make a sale, they're not going to move you from 4A back to 3A because someone didn't pay the UConn. They'll keep you at that. But when you get to the 6A positioning, they're going to evaluate your business, and any people that did not renew, buy it once, renew it twice for a full 12 months, if they cancel before that, those sales will be removed out of your total. Important to realize, and we're going to show you on the genealogy how you count that. Okay. The reason why I think this is the best way to get started is the following, because you want to think about not getting to 6A, you want to think about getting to 6A2. Right? 6A2 gives you monthly and quarterly bonuses, and it also positions your business to run the long term, which is really to get to the higher ranks. So here you can see you buy your number 1 position, your Kangen water system. On the same day you got into business, you bought your number 2 position, which is your UConn DD in the 1A position. Under that UConn business is where you're going to be making 20, 50 sales in order to find the 2 people that will fill those 2 circles below that. Right? Once you've found them, then you're going to move over and you're going to buy a new Kangen water system. I would lead with, you could buy the UConn Sigma at that point if you wanted to, but Kangen water system would be ideal because you want to have a second system. It's very helpful. And that would either be in a 4A or 5A lane. You buy it. You could then position an UConn underneath that which would be attached to it. So you basically have a water system and then you have an UConn. That's a really smart way to build the business. If you've got 2 positions, you got 2 UConns, it works long term because you can take advantage of the UConn as qualifying the top account and also making sales volume. The reason we have the UConn underneath the Kangen water system is because when the UConn makes a sale, every 4 months, it counts for 1 sale in the UConn position and it counts for 1 sale in the top position, which is the Kangen water system. If you had it in reverse, it would not count for a sale in the bottom because the UConn's renewing the top position, so the points aren't moving through the Kangen water placement. So keep it underneath for maximum sales volume benefits. Here's the chart to go 6A 2-3 and grow it up from there. So I'm breaking it down. That's where I feel most comfortable these days, is inviting people into the program with Kangen water combo, which is the water system, and the UConn DD, right? And not to say that if people want to promote trifecta and an ANASPA, which is amazing, and all those things, feel free to run your business however you'd like to. For me, at the end of the day, it's like finding the greatest value for myself and the people I'm involved with, and I've chosen to go this way. So I just wanted to make a little video that is helpful. If you like it, great, use it. And eventually in the next week, I'm going to have a little video that will be up on YouTube that will help with this. I need some sunshine in Vancouver, so worse than not having a video on YouTube is having a video that has bad lighting. So we'll wait for that. Moving on through our presentation, we're going to talk about offering solutions. The main objection that most people have is the cost. How do you respond to the cost? Is you need to create more value, and you also need to give options for how people can make payments. So we have financing options, or you can also promote, hey, get your machine for free by referral using the business option. How much is it is a very common question, and what I like to respond is that we have a wide range of systems from $19.80 to $5,000, depending on your specific needs. Many people finance for about $100 to $120 a month, right? When you let people know there's a range and it only costs you about $100 a month, it really offsets that conversation, because you don't want to tell someone, hey, it's $5,000, flat out. You want to give people a range. You want to give them, there's options. There's more conversation to be had. Here's our financing options. You can pay in full, cash, credit, or check to the office, right? Actually, you can't pay cash anymore in Vancouver. There are some offices that you still can. So if you've got a cash pay, please check in with the office that you're going to make the payment in to make sure that they're still approaching. Maybe in the near future, we'll have cryptocurrencies on here as a form of method of payment in the coming years. So private financing in Canada, we deal with Medicard, which is medicard.com, finances medical equipment for Canadians. And PM Financial is no longer available. And you're looking at about $100. If you get an SD501, it's about $100 a month. K8, $125. If you do the package, which would be the UConn and K8, I mentioned it earlier, it's about $150, right? In the US, if people have good credit and you really want to do some discovery with people around this option, there are 0% interest cards available that offer 12 to 24 months. We're really looking for $650 and above, and you got to find out just to make sure that a person has credit, they're up to date with their current cards. Are they delinquent in any stuff? Do that option before asking for them to make an approval application, because it's disappointing when you get rejected and you kind of know if someone's going to pass or not by doing a little discovery in the beginning. If you need help with that, being a new person, that's when you want to call in your upline and do a 3-way call to offer financial advice or financing options to your new customer distributor. Very effective. Right, and then I also let people know that, hey, personal line of credit or credit cards that they already have with existing lower interest rates could be a better option, because lots of people will have great stuff already set up with the bank so that they can just put that on there and pay for it later. So you want to provide options, so you got to ask the right questions. And then lastly, we have the Enagic e-program, which I'm going to cover a little bit. The Enagic program. Excellent. I think this is one of the most unique things in the network marketing arena that the company is willing to finance your startup. And when I took a look at this project 7 years ago, it was one of the most important reasons I got started, because it allowed, in my opinion, it allows everybody to have access to get one of these water systems. Hands down. It might take a person 6 months on a savings program based on their lifestyle to get the down payment and then jump on, which is fine. I've had people bring me bags of money and change for their down payment. And I've never seen anyone who was committed to having one of these means, didn't get one. So there's really no excuse when we have the e-program to offer people. There's no credit check. You're basically pre-approved for 75% of the cost of the machine, and you pay not an interest rate, but about $10 a month installment charge. Now, if you get a K8, obviously, if you move that into a interest rate, it's actually very low. It's like 3.5%. If you're financing a Level R and you turn it into an interest rate, it's going to be much higher because it's a smaller purchase. So it's $10 a month is the installment charge. They pay approximately 20 to 25% down. It really depends on your interest rate or the taxation rate in your local area. They have that available for the Level R, the Junior, the ANASPA. They will all be 3, 6, or 10 months. If you're buying an SD501 or K8, you have the option of making it over a 16-month period. There are places like Australia and Europe that also provide a 20-month and a 24-month option. So please check in your local office where you're doing business or where you potentially have a sale to see what their financing options are. And the easiest way to do that, go to enagic.com, register in the distributor area, use your your ID and your email, get on board there, go to the documents download section. There's a world map you can choose, and then just find the office that you're looking for and look at their paperwork. Very easy once you've done it once, so that's where you go. And it counts for a full sale, and it comes with a business ID. So you will, the drawbacks, so the good thing is it counts for a full sale right away. But the drawback is you don't get paid full commissions because obviously they didn't get paid. You only get paid the special point with the down payment, so which is great. SD501, that's $50. K8, that's $70. So that will get paid upfront to you with the e-program. Full commissions is paid 100% of the system is paid off. Now, here's where we're going to get into some interesting stuff. I'd pay attention here because this will either cost you lots of money or earn you lots of money. Enagic has, in my opinion, kind of a poor tracking system, which leads to about 25% default on this program, right? The additional distributor needs to be responsible to make this program more effective. And we're going to talk about what I mean by that. Can only use the e-program on one system and the UConn at the same time. You can't finance 2 K8s or 2 SD501s. You can do a K8 and an UConn, so that's why it's a really nice startup business for people, because you can finance both of those, right? So let's move into how we maximize using this program. And the reason I wanted to do this training tonight is I personally feel like in the coming years, there's going to be some shifting in the economy, and we're going to need to position ourselves to match people's needs. And so getting people started for kind of minimal investment with a maximum return will be, an SD501, K8, and the UConn. Show them that package, and if they do it on the e-program. So we're going to need to know, how do we take people through this process so that we can get people started really right and set up for success. Here's what happens on the e-program. People get registered, and let's say you've got a K8, a new customer, and they're going to be on it for 16 months. Well, you need to check the credit card expiry date when filling out the paperwork, because if the credit card expires in 10 months, that means the card's not going to get charged the last 6 months. So an action step needs to be required. Enagic either needs to catch it and then call the person on your behalf or their behalf, get a hold of them, get the information, all that stuff, but it's somebody they don't know. So has that been effective in the past? No. What's much more effective is you write that information down, being like, okay, Sally's card is going to expire in 10 months. So I'm going to tell Sally, hey, I'm going to call you in 10 months and get your new credit card information because I see this is going to expire before the end of your payment system. And Sally's going to be like, oh, great, awesome. You'll have make that arrangement so that when you call 10 months down the road, it's not going to be a surprise or it's not going to be an uncomfortable thing. It's to be expected. This is really key because you don't get paid. If Sally was to make 14 payments out of 16 on a K8 and the other 2 don't get paid, you never get the other full commissions, which is over on a K8, which would be over $2,100, $2,200. So that's sitting on the table. Enagic has covered their costs, their manufacturing, a little bit of profit as things move along. Who's going to lose out is going to be the distributor. So that's where we need to be a little bit more proactive with this. Do not expect the customer nor Enagic to do this. You got to do it, right? Distributor needs to track the payments, right? You can call the Enagic LA office after the second month of the e-program payments to make sure the payments are being processed. Occasionally the system defaults and the customer does not get charged on the first month, and meaning they don't get charged on any months. I've been surprised at how many times I look back, I follow through this and I realize, oh wow, they missed the first payment for some reason. So you want to check in on the second month just to make sure the card's working, things are moving along, and you're good. And then I would check back later down the road. If it's a 16-month payment, you might want to check in halfway to make sure things are going. It's very hard to approach someone when they haven't made a payment in 16 months and you expect to get paid and there's $3,000 owing and they have no reason. And legitimately, they'll say, well, I thought I was getting this paid because I put it together. There was something in the system, in the Enagic system, that didn't allow that transaction to happen. And it creates a little bit of a tension and an awkward moment, and then you got to figure it out. So let's avoid that and help you get paid and help your new people who start with the Enagic payment system. We want to make sure new people are earning money, not just making sales and not getting commissions, right? We got to follow up with this. You will be given the amount owing and will need to subtract it to find out the first payment has been processed. Basically, there's privacy issues, so when you call the Enagic Finance Department, and this is for our US sales, they're not going to tell you all the information you want to receive, but you can ask how much is owing and are they active? And then you can do the math yourself, and I'm going to show you how the genealogy reads out. Thankfully, in Canada, we now have Diana at the Vancouver Burnaby office who is in charge of this. And if you haven't had the opportunity to work with her, she's amazing, and she can give you a lot more information than I found anyone else in the previous 7 years experience at the office can do. So she can really track the Canadian e-programs and let you know where people have missed payments and so forth. If someone misses a payment, there's a $20 late fee charged to them. So we need to be aware of this because let's say someone makes 16 payments of the for the K8 of 270, and yet they missed one. So what happens with Enagic is they ring it through on the 1st or the 15th. The person gets to decide. If the payment doesn't go through, they try it again, they try it again, they try it again, like 3 or 5 times, all within a 24-hour period. And if the payment doesn't go through, they stop running the payments forever. They just, it's an interesting way to do business, but that's the result. So if you had somebody who maxed out their credit card one day, and they tried to process the payments, and they do it 5 times in a 24-hour period, they just assume that the card's not dysfunctional, and they don't keep charging it the following month. So we want to be aware of that. There's a $20 fee that'll be charged there, but more valuable to us is the awareness that, hey, the card's no longer going to get charged in the future. So I have seen experiences where people will call back that, there'll be a late fee, but then they get charged the following month, and the card will go through. But at the end of it, they paid basically everything off, and might be $20 or $40 late fees that is holding the commissions from being released. So that's where you want to call in. And in those cases, I just pay it for myself. I'll just say, you know what, I'll close the account. I also choose to close the account maybe when there's 1 or 2 sales, 1 or 2 months left, and whatever reason they haven't paid or stuff, and if there's enough commissions on, I just look at it as a business expense. I'll pay the rest of it so that I can earn the commissions out of it. And so you might get into a position in your e-program with people that are really having a hard time making all the payments right to the end. You might decide to pay some of those off so that you will actually earn more commissions rather than foregoing those. I hope that makes sense. Distributor needs to continue to track payments. So you call the Enagic finance department. You're only allowed, I would do it at 5 or 10 months of their e-program, so keep tracking to make sure the payments are going through. Sometimes the credit card gets changed or they cancel it, which we need to watch and catch this ourselves. Really the idea is how interested are you getting paid. Enagic sends an email, a letter, and sometimes calls people when the payments stop. That's not enough personally for me. In 7 years of doing this business, there is a lot of money left on the table that should have gotten paid, because I truly believe when people make that initial agreement, they want to honor it and they do want to pay that. So we just need to make that easy and comfortable for both them and you, and the way we need to do that is track this more. Right? So here's some tips. Book the checkup calls in your calendar, and I put them all in Enagic payment systems on a Google spreadsheet. That's easy for me to track. And I can, let's see, I can quickly show you one that I've got here. So here's my all the IDs, their first name, their last name, phone number, email, the date that they purchased, the notes, what kind of machine it was, where they were, how many months, money owed, expiry, and so forth. And you can see this is, all the way to, 2017. So I track them here, and then I can also cross-reference and separate the Canadians from the US, from the European ones, so that I can send this into Enagic, copy and paste their first name, because you only, as you know in the genealogy, you'll see, you only really get access to the person's first name and ID. That's enough for Enagic to track the payments. So that's how I would do it. If you have a Google account, a Gmail account, it's real easy. You just go to your docs section and decide to open up a spreadsheet, and you can do this yourself. There's great videos online that show people how to work Google Docs. 12 months ago, I had no idea. Now I feel very proficient, and it's been a super helpful way for my organization and my business. So something to consider. It's going to be frustrating at the first few hours figuring it out, but once you do, it'll save you time, energy, and money long term, so well worth it. Here's the finance department in LA, so you want to copy this number down, because you can call them directly rather than getting stuck on the wait list when things get really busy. You need to have the customer ID, and you can only do a maximum of 5 a day. In Vancouver, I would just send email to Diana. You can do more than 5. And she's great at responding. So yes, let's go genealogy reading. Okay, this is, I'm here to say you don't need to be Japanese and understand Japanese to read the genealogy, but if it's your first time looking at it, you might think that that's the case. It can be a little confusing. So when the customer name appears twice, this indicates that they're on the Enagic payment system. And I'm going to show you an example of the genealogy coming up. So just a few things out of the way. Line 1 is the special point paid out at the start date. Line 2 is the remaining amount that will be completed. So that'll be an empty box there. Check the far left side of the rows for start and end dates, and place the amount remaining in empty commissions column. Well, let's go into this. So here is an example, and this was just like random back in the day. So you can see that the 1, 2, and 3, let's do number 1. This person, so there's 2 names in a row. We can see Hillary and Hillary. This person was on the Enagic payment system, right? And if you move to the arrow on the other side, you can see I got paid $150 on the special point, so that was in a 3A position for me, so I made $50 times 3. And then the spot below it is empty, meaning that this account has not gone through yet, or I haven't been paid on it. So that's how I can track to see, oh, where am I losing out on commissions? Let's go number 2 example. This is Inga, and you see her name shows up twice. The arrow to the side says I got paid $150 on the first one and then $690. So that e-program has been completed. I got paid the full amount. Example number 3, a little further down, Todd, right? So name shows up twice, so I know it's e-program, and I got paid $150 on the first one, but there's no payment on the second. So meaning that I either this person hasn't paid, or there's been delinquent payments. So that's what I want to get Todd's ID. I want to send that into the office and say, hey, I want to check this out. In the next slide, I'm going to show you a few things you want to look at, right? So here is a close-up of one of my genealogies. On the left-hand side, this is the number of unit sales, right? So this starts at 151 here. It's the date sold. And the Japanese decide to do it a little differently. They do the year, then the month, then the day. Then you have the purchaser column. So this is the ID, and then you have the name. And you'll also, then it will also show them what rank this person's at. And then it shows you the product. So this is really important to know, because in different areas of the world, you're going to need to have conversations with different office staff in order to find out what's happening with the e-program. So you can see at the top, there's Europe, there's Australia, there's USA. I got some UConn renewals, and anything that doesn't say something will be Canadian for us. So all the way down. So then the next column is P. That's how many points this particular business center is earning from these sales. So Creel Health Enterprises, number 3, I'm earning 2 points of all these people. Right? Then we go to, I want to draw your attention to the names that run along the top. These are my distributors that I signed up front line in this business center. So essentially they show me these different little categories that will have sales volume underneath, right? So these were direct sales to Creel Health Enterprises, number 3, made direct sales to Kristen, Wawa, Ty, Creel, Elena, Ronnie, Jennifer, Shay. Those along the top. Now, when I look at where the numbers are getting placed, that allows me to see which distributors are building businesses. So Kristen, who's my fiance, is where the activity is, because sales have been being put there. So she's getting paid and tracking it. Then Wawa is a friend of mine in Hawaii. That's his business. And then I can see there's no more money along this point, because the rest of these people were actually customers. They weren't distributors, but the machine's going to grab them and put them there. If you go all the way over to the other side, then you're going to have the fund total, which is accumulated amount. So it'll give you a running total of how much you've earned, which is really great. The next column is paid. This is going to be, it comes into kind of necessary when you're looking at sometimes the date that goes through when the machine registers on the left-hand side and the date that got paid sometimes can be a little bit different. They're just showing you the difference there, and also the start date of the payment program. And then you can see the method. Anything that has a star is the installments, and it will tell you how many installment months they want to do. So you'll see that there's some that say 24, there's some that say 4, 6 months. So that's the kind of the overall thing. Looking down at the bottom, see where the red arrow is? It's pointing up to something that says Tokurai. When you have a Tokurai, it's a pyramid, a triangle, a solid triangle. That's how it will be shown up in your account. And I can see that by underneath where the office address is. You can see that there's a pyramid. It says Tokurai. And then beside it, there's Japanese characters that says account cancel. Then there's one Japanese character that says cancel, transfer, installment payment. So that's their little identification log. So when we go back down to the bottom left, you see Tokurai. And I have 6 Tokurai in this business. We don't see any on this page of the genealogy, but I know through the whole thing is that I have 6 there. Accounts canceled is 0. Account canceled means Someone was a distributor, and then they decided for whatever reasons they wanted to cancel their account, the name, which then Enagic gives you 6 months, and then you can buy with the same name a new position in a different person's business. It rarely ever happens, but that's what account cancel would be. Different from a cancel. A cancel, which I see that I've got 4 here, would be UConn renewals that didn't get renewed for a total of 12 months. So they initially gave me the sales volume, but then they will take it away by -4. So I'm at 166 on this page, and it would be then -4, so I'd be at 162 is my real total. This is important when you start to look towards your 6A incentive, because you want to make sure that you're actually hitting a 101 sales. So you need to look at how many cancellations you have. When you get close to there, you're going to be talking to your upline sponsor to making sure everything's good. And then not qualified, I'm not really sure what that is. And along the bottom, see the blue line, the long blue rectangle line, that's where the amount of money you earn from each one of your distributors in these lanes will be calculated. And you'll also have the full total under the green arrow above there. So that's pretty exciting. And then the purple arrow moving up, this is the method line, and this will tell you how many months the payment system is in effect. So if I looked at the top one, it's in Europe, and it's going to be on 16 months. So I can calculate, I can use that category to calculate when I send in the ID number and the name, so that I can track, are they making payments, or are they delinquent, or is the credit card not being processed properly. I can do the math when they started, how many months they have. I call in and say, well, how much money do they still owe on it? And I can do the math on the payments, right? So yes, it's added steps. It would be awesome if this was all in a computer system and we could just punch in buttons and we get the total. That's not the way Enagic operates. So this simple step, if you do it from day one and teach your people, will make you thousands of dollars, or you'll lose thousands. So next slide. Here's the truth bomb. I just mentioned it. This information will either make you 10,000 on the way to 6A2, or it will cost you that much. It cost me that much and more. When I got into the business, most people do what you do. When I got into business, I did the e-program. So my first 20 sales, people were just doing the e-program because I thought it was such a great way. And I realized I don't get paid, but I'll get paid in 16 months. Well, a percentage of people never paid it off. And that's just the way it is. So I've come to realize that you have a loss in business. When you're running a real business, there is going to be a percentage that's just going to fall into the category of loss. It does that, but we can affect that. Make it 10% versus making it 25 to 30% of people not paying. So commit to these suggestions today to really maximize it. Teach your new people. Duplicate. Good habits will follow through. Why? The reality is you'll make more money, which will create more time freedom and more happiness for you and your family long term, because you want to treat this business as a long-term project. So we all use the e-program. It's a fantastic thing. We want to have realistic expectations of what happens, rather than waiting 16, 18 months down the road and starting to figure out why you're not getting paid. This is the reason. So you can start from day one to track it. With that, I think I'm going to move it over to you guys to ask some questions, bring some comments in. I'm here to help and support. And of course, this would be a really good one to share with your downline, especially people in the 3A and 4A category. This will be a great one to help them showing their business. So I've clicked open the questions box, and I would love to get your, if you have any specific questions related to the information you just saw, or you have a few more questions related to other topics, feel free to put it in there. While I wait to see if you guys have any questions, I do want to let you know that there's a great event happening in Hawaii next month, November 18th in Honolulu. The top team Hawaii is going to be putting it on. I'm going to be speaking there. Siha's going to be there. It's a great lineup. Usually what happens on the Friday night, there's a demo at the office. so you can get new people out or invite guests if you have people out there. If anyone here on my team, you know, and you've got contacts in Hawaii, reach out to them, get them excited. I happily host them if you can't make it yourself, and so that invite them to the Friday night, and then I also could, you know, make them feel welcomed on a Saturday if they decide to come out for the full event. So a great opportunity. I also want to suggest everybody on Facebook follow Enagic International, because they post a lot of really great events of world stuff happening. So that, you know, Dubai office opening and this and that. So if you're in the information alley, then you're able to share that with people that you're coming in contact with. So, you know, over the years, I knew Dubai was going to be opening, so I was collecting leads that I knew were operating in Dubai. So once that happens, then I start to reach out to them. So you can be doing the same. You got to be in the information flow. So Eli Defesh's, you know, main email list, and then also following stuff on Facebook. So a couple questions. Mariev, nice to have you on board. Great information. Thank you for sharing. We'll definitely pass it on and make sure to apply it. Good work. Yeah. Hayden, isn't Ukon now available with one upfront payment? Yes, it is. It's called Ukon Sigma, and you can do that all in one go. There also is a payment option, e-program payment, which will be done over 11 months. So your first, basically 12 months, your first payment, and then you have 11 months of e-program payments for 12 months. So you can do that either one time or through the e-program. My suggestion is that only counts for one sale in your business. If you do Ukon DD, it counts for 3 sales over the same amount of time. So if you're selling to a customer who wants a full year supply, it's really simple and easy, they save a few $100s doing that way, awesome. If you are 6A in the business and you're currently using Ukon DD to qualify your 6A position, I would suggest switching over to Ukon Sigma. It will cost you less and it will do the exact same thing, and you're not interested really in the sales volume at that point. So it counts the same thing. It doesn't affect your bonuses because we were already earning 1/3 on the monthly bonuses, not 1 on the Ukon renewal. So the exact same thing, switch over. If you're a new person coming in, I recommend doing the Ukon DD because you want that sales volume. You want to move through the ranks and you want to encourage your other new people coming in who are interested in business to do the same thing. So some customers will want to do a full year supply, and others they'll just want to start out with 4 months. So the Ukon DD is a good place to start. I hope that answers your question, Hayden. I think it does. From Fern, do you have to be at a certain level to be able to get a genealogy report? Good question, Fern. No, you don't. So you can make, if you're, depending on where you are, different offices have different strategy around this. So you can reply, you can ask for a genealogy, request a genealogy from the US office. But if you're in a smaller location, you might want to just call your local office and develop a really good relationship there and ask them, because when you move to LA, it's the main hub, so things slow down. But you can, at any level, get a genealogy report. So now you don't necessarily need it when you're 2A, 3A, and you've made 7 or 8 sales. But once you start getting close to the 4A, it's nice to get a genealogy report and kind of check out where things are. You'll probably have made some e-program payments along the way, so you want to get those IDs and everything's written down in a really easy way. So you can send in an email to your local office with your ID requesting for a genealogy report. Now, for my 6As on the line and above, we have access to bubble trees, which will be basically a graph of your business centers and distributors with numbers. So you're not eligible to that until you become a 6A level, and then when you are, you want to ask the office for a bubble tree, and so you can start to track it a little bit more in a visual sense rather than just the numbers. So it's a good format to do. Any other questions, guys? See, we're getting close to the top of the hour. And we'll give it one more minute or so. Great. Well, once again, I thank you for your attendance. To all the people that showed up live from all over the world, make it a fantastic evening or day. And to our viewers that are watching this recorded, thank you so very much. Wade will be here next week as usual to do another super webinar. I wish you all the very best in your business and your lives. So with that, I wish you a great evening. Bye-bye.